Hey again. Okay, so today I'm going to be talking on the 11.02 presentation, and I decided to focus on the question, upon what foundation are U.S. public schools built? Now, this is a pretty heavy subject, and it was really interesting just to read everything that the Founding Fathers thought and everybody at that time was thinking. And it's just really interesting to look at it because what they wanted was just a base, a solid base for society and a solid foundation for the American people. Like, the whole entire thing is that it represents liberty and freedom, and it's kind of what America stands for. That's its fundamental unit. Like, public schools are there so that people learn how to read and write and how to do basic math. They learn sciences. They learn all different types of things. And all these things are for their own good and for the good of society by default. If someone doesn't know how to read, they can't vote. If someone doesn't know how to write, they can't vote. And they can't do many other things that are just fundamental for society. And I think it's really interesting because public education is kind of like a miniature government itself, because it kind of reminds me of how our government kind of just has, the executive figures, it has the higher up figures there, and they talk to the people who are a little bit lower, and then finally that gets to the people, you know what I mean? And with schools, it's kind of like that too, with the Board of Education. They go to the smaller boards that are in different counties, and they give them the curriculum, they tell them what they want, and the people decide this by voting also, and it's kind of just really cool how similar the process is. And I had fun just looking at that. And there were two other questions that I asked. Why did our country choose to build the public schooling system on this foundation? And I have a little quote from Thomas Jefferson here that says, "People will be happiest whose laws are best and are best administered, and that laws will be wisely formed and honestly administered in proportion as those who form and administer them are wise and honest." Now that's a little bit of a mouthful, but basically what Thomas Jefferson was saying was that they instituted public schooling because they want us to be happy. And I think that's really cool because, like Thomas Jefferson, he was a founding father, he's already dead and gone, but it's kind of that he was just thinking of our happiness when he thought of public schooling and was advocating it. I think that's really cool. And the last two questions were, how can I help my students feel less stressed about learning? And how can I use the foundation set by the government to my advantage as I teach? Now, the government kind of it helps the Board of Education. The Board of Education is controlled by the people and their voting and everything too. Just in a little summary of it all, because it's really, really intricate. But basically, it comes down to us teachers, and we're allowed to teach the curriculum how we please. We have a little book, and we have the lesson plan, and we can make our own lesson plan, and we can teach our students. And I think it's just interesting that because I personally want to help the students actually understand what we're learning about. Because sometimes, I know I've had teachers like this who give quizzes, who give you study guides beforehand. Like in high school, I was given a study guide, I was told to fill it out, and that all these answers would be on the test. I filled it out, I did it. And the test was kind of confusing. It kind of tricked your mind a lot, It kind of made you second guess yourself, and I don't think that's okay. Just to make your students second guess themselves, kind of play with their minds like that. I as a teacher, I want my students to succeed. I don't want them to be looking at the test and being like, "Oh no, this test is just a test made to trip me up in this class, and I'm not going to get a good grade on it because I studied something different that they told me to study." You know what I mean? And I want my students to have that trust in me that I will be able to help them actually really succeed in their class. Because success is something that everyone deserves. And no matter how long it takes them, I think that's really important. And, well, that was my presentation. And thank you very much for watching. And I hope you have a great evening or day or morning or whatever time